Krishna. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौरांगी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जयो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। श्री राधा गोविंद की जय, श्री गौर निताई की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। Today is the lesson 4, the text number 4 to 8, understanding the Ishvara with the spiritual vision. Last week we have seen the invocation mantra up to the mantra 3, that is living in harmony with Ishvara. Today is the second section, that is the Ishvara can be understood by the spiritual vision. And these are the other overview of other text we have already seen. So we are taking to the second section now, 4 to 8. So what is there in 4 to 8? There are 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 5 chapters are there together. In the first 2 chapters, 4 and 5, Ishvara is inconceivable to our normal intelligence. To understand the Lord, it is inconceivable to us. And 6 and 7 speaks about how to understand this absolute truth, Ishvara. First one has to develop the spiritual vision by seeing the worldly things, events, and people with equanimity. By doing so, this vision developed further and directed to the Ishvara helps us understand him. So first, in the 2 chapters, the Ishopanishad establishes that with our mundane intelligence, we cannot understand the Lord. And in the next 2 chapters, it will tell about the process, how we can understand the Lord. Because in the previous chapter, we have seen understanding the Lord is the way we can get rid of this material world or this bondage. So now we are talking about the process. So this is 4 and 5 is telling which is not possible, and 6 and 7 is speaking which is possible, and 8 is telling about the result. So when this vision is directed towards the Lord, then we can understand him. So this is the entire section overview. Now, all of you please open the Ishopanishad book, text number 4 or mantra 4. अनेजदेकं मनसो जवीयो नैनद्देवा आप्नुवन् पूर्वमर्षत् Tadhavatonya tishtat tasmin napo matarishva dadhati. The word by word meaning. Anejat, that means fixed. Ekam, one. Manasaha, than the mind. Javiyaha, more swift. Na, not. Enath, this supreme lord. Deva, the demigods like Indra, etc. Apnuvan, can approach. Purvam, in front. Arshat, moving quickly. Tat, he. Dhavataha, those who are running. Anyan, others. Atyeti, surpasses. Tishtat, remaining in one place. Tasmin, in him. Apaha, rain. Matarishwa, the gods who control the wind and rain. Dadhati, supply. That is the word by word meaning. So what the translation says, although fixed in his abode, the personality of Godhead is swifter than the mind and can overcome all others running. The powerful demigods cannot approach him. Although in one place he controls those who supply the air and rain, he surpasses all in excellence. So this is a translation. This mantra has so many opposite meanings. It says that the Lord is fixed in one place, but he is swifter than the mind. The mind is the fastest material element which can travel. And the Lord is faster than that, because through the mind we cannot understand Krishna. And he is at one place and he can control everyone. And he's controlling the controller. Who are the controllers? The people who control, or those who supply the air and rain. Who are they? They are the demigods. He controls those who supply the air and rain. That means all the demigods who are responsible for the maintaining or the working of this material world, he is above them. He is controlling them also. So he is the supreme personality of Godhead. He is surpassing all of them in excellence. So that is the meaning of this text number 4. Now let us see what is there in the purport by Srila Prabhupada. There are totally 7 paragraphs in this text, for this text. The first paragraph says that absolute truth cannot be understood by speculation. Speculation means we are just imagining, or we are trying to understand by our own calculations. That is called speculation. By the power of senses, by the power of mind or intelligence, we are trying to understand. But here Prabhupada is telling it is impossible to understand the Lord through the speculative power. And the paragraph 1 and 2, Prabhupada continues, revelation helps us to understand God and his energies. Revelation means when the Lord himself mercifully makes us to understand, then we can understand him. The power of the jiva, it is insufficient to understand the Lord. But it is not impossible to understand Krishna, because for Krishna, nothing is impossible. The Lord's power, the Lord's energy, it is so inconceivable that the tiny jiva, the small living entity, he cannot understand. But at the same time, if the Lord himself reveals himself to the jiva, that is also the power of the Lord. That is, mercifully, the Lord reveals himself to the living entity who is trying to understand him. At that point, the living entity can understand the Lord. And next paragraph, number 3, speaks about the energies of the Lord. They are non-different, yet different from the Lord. That is Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. Simultaneously, one and different. That is paragraph number 3. And paragraph number 4 and 5. As we are limited, We can understand unlimited only through his revelation. Our capacity to understand the Supreme is limited. Our senses are limited. Our analyzing capacity is limited. Our analyzing is limited. But if the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself comes and reveals himself in front of us, then only we can understand what he is. It is just like if you want to go and meet the Prime Minister of a country, it is almost impossible. But if the Prime Minister wants to meet you, then it is just a matter of time. Immediately, you can meet him. So in that way, if we are trying to understand the Lord, then it is not possible. But if the Lord himself decides to show himself to the surrendered soul, then it becomes possible. For that, what you need to do, play your part and you will be given the understanding. So play your part in the sense, you follow the Varnashrama system or the regulative principles, the devotional activities, whatever prescribed by the spiritual master, you follow that and continue to be in the association of devotees in the devotional life, devotional service. One day the Lord will reveal himself to the living entity. So that is about the purport. There are 7 paragraphs here. Now in the Brahma Samhita, there is a shloka which says that the Lord is inconceivable even for those who are very expert. They are, even though the people at the earlier time, they were very powerful, had very powerful mind, and they could do so much of analysis in the brain, in the mind, but still the Lord is inconceivable. So this is the shloka 5.34. Panthastu koti shatavatsara sampragamyo vayo rathapi manaso munipungavanam sopyasti yat prapadasemnya vichintya tattve govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primal Lord, only the tip of the toe of whose lotus feet is approached by the yogis who aspire after the transcendental and betake themselves to pranayama by drilling the respiration, or by the jnanis who try to find out the non-differentiated Brahman by the process of elimination of the mundane extending over thousands of millions of years. So this is the yogi and jnani. Yogi means one who practices Ashtanga Yoga. Jnani means one who does analytical study or analytical analysis. By those two people, even for so many years, so many thousand millions of years, the Lord is inconceivable. You cannot understand him completely. That is avichintya tattve. Sopyasti yatprapada semni avichintya tattve. The Lord still remains avichintya. One cannot understand the Lord. And it is also told in the shloka, the Lord stays in one place and he is controlling everything. That is also explained in the Brahma Samhita. It is told here, Goloka eva nivasati akhilatma bhuto. Ananda chinmaya rasa pratibhavitabhis tabhirya eva nijarupataya kalabhi. Goloka eva nivasati akhilatma bhuto. Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. I worship Govinda, thy primal Lord, residing in his own realm, Goloka, with Radha, resembling his own spiritual figure, the embodiment of the ecstatic potency possessed of the 64 artistic activities in the company of her confidants, that is Sakhis, embodiments of the extensions of her bodily form, permeated and vitalized by his ever blissful spiritual rasa. So Goloka eva nivasati, that means he is present or he is residing in Goloka, Akhila Atma Bhutaha, and also in the heart of each and every living entity. So Goloka eva nivasati, Akhilatma Bhuto. He is present there as well as here. And there is one more shloka in Vishnu Purana which says that the Lord present in one place, but he is pervades everywhere. Ekadesha stitasyagner josna vistarini yatha parasya brahmana shakti sarvedam akhilam jagat. Vishnu Purana 122-52, which says that in the Vishnu Purana, his potencies are compared to the heat and light that emanate from a fire. Although situated in one place, a fire can distribute its light and heat for some distance. Similarly, the absolute personality of Godhead, although fixed in his transcendental abode, can diffuse his different energies everywhere. So this is how the Lord is dissipating his energies. So these are some of the evidences to say or prove the points that is given in the mantra number 4. The Lord is present in one place, but at the same time, he is present everywhere. And even though he is present in one place, he will distribute his energies everywhere. That is the example of the fire is given here. Now, the Lord's energy, it is basically divided into 3 parts. One is Krishna's energy as internal, marginal, and external potency. The internal potency of the Lord is the spiritual world, which is present eternally, where there is no birth, death, old age, and disease. Everyone is blissfully living. Yadgatva nani vartante tadhama paramamama. And another energy, that is inferior energy or external energy, that is the material world. And this material world is called as the Bhumi Rapo Analo Vayu Khammano Buddhirevacha Ahankara iti anme Bhinna Prakriti Rashtada. The 5 gross elements and 3 subtle elements, 8. All these things are making this material world. Now, in between, there is one more energy that is called marginal energy, which are the living entities. These living entities, they have freedom to go between spiritual world and material world. If he decides or if he is qualified, he can go to spiritual world. But if he is not qualified or if it is contaminated, he will be in the material world. The external energy or the material world, it's a part of the internal energy itself. That means within the spiritual world, a portion is called as the material energy. It is the material cloud or the Mahatattva. This material world is created for facilitating the living entities or the marginal energy who are not qualified to be in the spiritual world. In this way, the Lord has 3 energies. These are the 3 energies, 3 principal energies. The internal energy, the spiritual world is much, much bigger than the material world. Material world is very, very small as compared to the spiritual world, and spiritual world has more living entities or the servants of the Lord than the material world. So this marginal energy is also called as tatastha. Tata means the bank of a river or any water, and where there is a combination of water and land. So one side if you go, you have land. Other side if you go, you have the water. So you can be either in water or in the land. So that's why it's called Tatastha Shakti. Those who would like to read can raise their hand. Radha Vallabhi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Mantra 4. This 4th mantra of Sri Ishopnishad very clearly suggests that the absolute truth is ultimately the absolute person. That the absolute truth is ultimately the absolute person. Otherwise, there would have been no need to mention so many details in support of this personal features. Mantra 4 purport, page 35. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Mataji. So the features of the Lord, these all are whatever we have spoken. The Lord is in one place, he is controlling everyone, he has so many energies. These all features, they are described, which shows that he is a person. If he is not a person, if he is a imperson, means if he is a doesn't have a personality, then there is no need to explain so much of features. If you see Bhagavatam, whenever there is the darshan of the Lord, whenever a devotee takes darshan of the Lord, each and every limb of the Lord is explained. It is explained in so many details. So what is the need of explaining so many things? Because he is a person. He has so much of personal features. By understanding this personal feature of the Lord, we can understand the position of the Lord, and we can have an idea how the Lord is, what is spiritual world. We'll get an idea, and so that we can meditate upon the Lord. Now, regarding the surrendering process, how to surrender the Lord, surrender to the Lord. So the logic or speculation cannot help us to understand the Lord. Only through surrender process one can understand who is the Lord. So this is the shloka, surrendering shloka in the. This is explained even in Bhagavad Gita also. Sureshwar Priya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Result: a devotee develops firm faith. Anukulasya sankalpa pratikulasya varjanam rakshishyatidi vishwaso goptriptve varanam tata atma niksheba karpanye sadvida sharanagadi. The 6 divisions of surrender are the acceptance of those things favorable to devotional service, the rejection of unfavorable things, the conviction that Krishna will give protection, the acceptance of the Lord as one's guardian or master, full self-surrender and humility. Example, Krishna's associates, cowherd friends. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you, Mother. So this we have already learned what are the 6 principles of surrender. So through this surrendering process, we can understand the Lord. Now, why we cannot understand the Lord through the logics and speculation? Because there can be two ways of understanding this statement. Something like the logic cannot explain the Lord. That means it doesn't mean that the Lord is illogical. If somebody says that I am the president of India, that is also beyond the logic, because the logic doesn't fit there. That means he is below the logic. But when we say the logic cannot explain the Lord, it means that the logic cannot stand in front of the Lord, the inconceivable potency of the Lord. Nothing can be compared to the Lord. So the logic will fail when we are trying to explain the Lord. So in that case, we have to surrender to the Lord. So when we say the logic, through the logic we cannot understand, or through the speculation we cannot understand, it does not mean that the Lord is illogical. That is not the meaning. The logic itself will fail when we try to understand the Lord through the logic. Only through the surrendering process one can understand him. Sarita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Sri Ishopanishad warns us to be very careful to play the part designated for us by the Lord. This does not mean that the individual soul has no initiative of his own. Because he is part and parcel of the Lord, he must partake of the initiative of the Lord as well. Mantra 4 purport. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So when we are surrendering means, what does it mean, surrendering? Surrendering means we have the part to play. We have the service to do. So this service, or the initiative for serving the Lord, it is the choice of the living entity. Every living entity has a certain way or certain desire to serve the Lord in particular manner. We cannot ask everyone to do the same kind of service. Just like somebody may be very good in singing the kirtan, or somebody may be very good at doing the kitchen service, or somebody may be good at cleaning the temple, or somebody may be good at fundraising, somebody may be good at book distribution. It is the choice of the living entity. Every living entity has an individual choice how they want to serve the Lord. So that initiative, one must partake in that initiative for serving the Lord. There is no need to say that, oh, I cannot do this service and I'm being forced to do this service. No, like that. No, nothing like that. One has the freedom to choose the service or choose the way in which the living entity wants to serve the Lord. So with that intention or with that particular service, if a person continues to serve the Lord always, the Lord will reveal himself. In the beginning, what happens? It will become a purificatory process. In the beginning, it may be a little difficult to do the devotional service, or there may be so many obstacles. And when the person continues to do the service of the Lord in the manner in which he likes, when this continuously done, when the purification process takes place, finally the person will get the understanding of the Lord. So that is the initiative that is explained here. Rakshita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dhanvat Pranam. When
Yeah.
a person properly utilizes his initiative or active nature with intelligence, understanding that everything is the Lord's potency, he can revive his original consciousness, which was lost due to association with Maya, the external energy. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So here, one who uses the intelligence and understanding that everything is the Lord's potency itself, by this understanding, if a person is continuously serving the Lord, then he will get the understanding of the Lord. So this is all again connecting to the understanding what we got in the previous shloka up to the third mantra. By understanding the Lord, we can get rid of this material world, which is birth, death, old age, and disease. Ishavasya principle. Understanding the Ishavasya principle is the main aim here. For that, we are analyzing how to achieve this Ishavasya principle. To understand the Isha or the Lord, we have to first serve him in a particular manner. And when a person continues to serve the Lord will reveal himself. We have to do our effort. If we don't do our effort, the Lord will not, is not forced to, or he is not committed to reveal himself for anybody who is not qualified or one who is not endeavoring for getting his vision. Only for those people who are trying to do that, they will get the understanding of the Lord. Sarita Kapoor Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna everyone, Dhanvat Pranam to all. Although the Lord has energies are non-different, one should not mistake these energies for the supreme truth. Nor should one wrongly consider that the Supreme Lord is distributed everywhere impersonally, so that he loses his personal existence. Mantra 4 purport. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. The Lord we should not understand to be a material object. Just like if you have a paper and you break that paper into many pieces. Now the original paper has lost its existence. This is true for material things, but it is not true for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because he is unlimited and unlimited things comes from him and still he remains unlimited. So that is the, in the beginning itself we have understood in the very first mantra. That is, although the Lord and his energies are not different, one should not think that these energies should not mistake these energies for the supreme truth. So the Lord is present everywhere and the Lord's omnipotency is there everywhere, but still at the same time, he is separate from these energies. Vasudeva Sarvamiti. The Lord is there everywhere. At the same time, he is present in his abode. Next, moving to the mantra number 5. Taddejati tannaijati taddure tadvantike tadantarasya sarvasya Taddu sarvasyasya bahyataha. Word by word meaning. Tat, this Supreme Lord, ejati, walks. Tat, he, no, not. Ejati, walks. Tat, he, dure, far away. Tat, he, who, also, antike, very near. That, tat, he, antaha, within, asya, of this, sarvasya, of all. Tat, he, who, also, sarvasya, of all, asya, of this, bahyataha, external to. Dipti Mataji, you can read the translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. The Supreme Lord walks and does not walk. He is far away, but he is very near as well. He is within everything, and yet he is outside of everything. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yes. So the Lord is walking and he is not walking. He is far away and he is very near. So again here, contradictory things are being explained. So what does it mean? If somebody is able to walk, then why do we say he is not able to walk? Either he is able to walk, or he is not able to walk. Any one thing is correct. If both are giving two opposite meaning, then how can they both correct? There should one of them should be wrong. But here, if we have another sentence, another third sentence which is needed, through that we can understand both sentences are correct. So even though two sentences are giving two opposite meaning, they both can be understood to be true or correct by taking the sentence which is another one, that is the third sentence. It's like you can say Mr. Such and Such doesn't eat in the daytime, and his weight is increasing. This is two contradictory things. One who doesn't eat and his weight cannot increase. His weight should decrease. By third sentence, we can make these two sentences correct. That is, he doesn't eat in the day, but he is eating in the night. So both sentences are correct. He doesn't eat, but still his weight is increasing. This is just a mundane example. How by not knowing the real truth of the Lord, when we take two sentences, they look opposite to each other. And both are correct in the absolute truth. That means he is walking and he is not walking. He is present everywhere. He is far away and he is also nearest to the all. Mantra 5 overview. There are totally 9 paragraphs in this. First one is telling about Supreme must be inconceivable. Paragraph 1 says, inconceivable potency of the Lord. And then in the paragraph number 2, Prabhupada explains how the absolute truth is very far, at the same time he is nearest to all. And the signs of deity worship, that is 3 to 6, 3, 4, and 5, 6. And then 7th paragraph explains about Nirguna yet Saguna. And 8 and 9 is explaining how the Lord is pervading everything, but still he is separate. So these are the paragraphs, 9 paragraphs, which describe different topics. Radha Vallavi Mataji.
Hare Krishna. The contradictions given here prove the inconceivable potencies of the Lord. He walks and he does not walk. Ordinarily, if someone can walk, it is illogical to say he cannot walk. But in reference to God, such a contradiction simply serves to indicate his inconceivable power. Mantra 5 purport. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. The Lord, he is walking and he is at the same time, he does not walk. So first of all, we should understand the Lord's energies are inconceivable. The Supreme must be inconceivable. The inconceivable power of the Lord can make us to understand that the Lord can do this kind of activities. That is, even though he is walking, he doesn't walk. At the same time, he is walking. That every living entity, he is there in the heart of each and every living entity as a Paramatma. So being Paramatma, wherever we go, the Paramatma is also moving. And at the same time, he is present in his personal, the abode. Goloka eva nivasati akhilatma bhutaha. At the spiritual world also he is present. So there he doesn't move. He is in at one place. And at the same time, being present in the heart of each and every living entity as Paramatma, he is moving everywhere. That is, our moving is because of his moving. Our activities are being performed only because he is sanctioning it. Otherwise, it cannot happen. That is the inconceivable potency of the Lord. Similarly, how the absolute truth is far yet very near. That is explained in the second paragraph of the of this text. You can see. One should not take it for granted that because we cannot see the Lord with our eyes, the Lord has no personal existence. Ishopanit refutes this argument by declaring that the Lord is far away but very near. The abode of the Lord is beyond material sky, and we have no means to measure even this spiritual material sky. If the material sky extends so far, then what to speak of the spiritual sky, which is altogether beyond that. So the spiritual world, it is far, far away. What we know in this material world itself is very small. We know about some planets around our Earth, and something within this solar system only we know, and very little knowledge we have regarding other some of the stars, and so many other speculations are also there. But in the creation of the Lord, there are unlimited Brahmanda or universes. And these universes all come under this material world itself. And beyond this material world is the spiritual world. So with our all sophisticated knowledge, all the advancement of technology, we are able to understand few particles within this Brahmanda. And where is the question of understanding that spiritual abode? It is impossible. If at all we have to understand, it is only by the Shabda Pramana, not by other means. So that is why it is told as he is very, very far. But at the same time, one who is a pure devotee of the Lord, one who is longing for the association of the Lord, he is very, very near. He is within our heart itself. Who can be very more nearer than our heart, within heart? Even if we keep someone very near to us, our near and dear one, if we hug them, but still that person is far from the Paramatma who is within our heart. So he is the nearest person. Nobody can be more nearer than the person who is within the heart or the Paramatma. So this is the contradiction that is present in the absolute truth. He is very, very far in the Goloka or in the Vaikuntha planet, which is inconceivable. We don't have any means to go there. We don't have any means to understand that abode of the Lord. But at the same time, he is present very, very near to us. Even parents cannot accompany the children, but Paramatma accompanies always. Nobody can accompany us beyond our death. Our very, very near and dear one, they can come up to the time of death. But Paramatma will continue with us even to the next life. And we don't know where we were in our previous life, but the Paramatma knows. So he is so much nearer one, so much companion to us that we cannot understand what is his inconceivable potency. Next, this inconceivable Lord, or the person who is very, very near to us, if we want to understand him, that is through the deity worship. The deity, he is manifested. That is the manifestation of the Lord in the form of deity in many ways, like in the material objects which are visible to our eye. Through those objects, the Lord manifests himself. The person who is looking at them as a stone or a wood or a painting, he will be like wood, stone, or metal or painting only. But for a person who is trying to understand the Lord and trying to serve him with the instruction of the spiritual master, one who is looking at them with a vision of understanding, vision of devotion, he will be able to understand. In the beginning, the people will look at the deity as a representation of the Lord. That means it is, we can understand by how is the Lord by seeing the deity. But as the person advances more and more, the person can understand, or he can realize that there is no difference between the Lord himself and the deity. Because after all, it is the manifestation of Lord himself. There is whatever present in this material world as well as in the spiritual world, everything is the energy of the Lord himself. And there is no difference between the object of the Lord and Lord himself, the abhinnatva. So that is the deity worship. So there are 3 stages of understanding the deity. Now here we have a group exercise. Read the mantra 5, paragraph 4 and 5. This was the reading activity in page number 39. No, it's not 39. It was 35. 4 and 5, page number 35. Explain how the Archa Vigraha form of the Lord is not material. And why does the Lord appear in the form of the Archa Vigraha? So why the Archa Vigraha is non-material is the first question. And why he comes in the form of Archa Vigraha? That is the second question. Hope everyone got the question. Anybody not understand?
Prabhuji, this is page number 39 only, not 35.
Page number 35, Mataji. Paragraph number 4 and 5. Archa Vigraha.
Paragraph. In my book, it is in 39 only. I was reading.
Oh, okay. In mine, it is 35. Okay, whatever page number. It is the paragraph number 4 and 5 of
Yes.
mantra 5. Okay. Anyhow. So these are the 2 questions. If there are no doubts or questions, let us start the breakout room. You have 5 minutes for discussion, 2 minutes for presentation. There are totally 17 people. So shall we make 4 groups? Is it fine, Muralidhar Prabhu?
Yes, 4 groups.
Okay. Yeah. So time starts now. Okay, Hare Krishna, welcome back. Radha Vallavi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. From these two paras, what we can understand is, as is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita 9.1, Avajanti Ma Muda. So, wherein God is, it is being explained that the foolish men place the Lord on the equal level of that of an ordinary man. They are not knowing the inconceivable power of the Lord. And that's why in this 9.11, not 1, 9.11, it is mentioned that fools deride the Lord when he descends in the human form, as they do not know the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord. Now, in the second para, it is, Lord, because of its full inconceivable potencies, the material energy is being converted into the spiritual energy. So that is why he comes in the form of the Archa Vigraha, and wherein the devotees can reciprocate their devotion to the Lord. It could be of any matter, it could be of a stone or but then you do a pran pratishtha, which means that you give the energy, that energy is being put into the Lord. The Lord's energy come in that form so that it can reciprocate the devotional service of the devotee to the Lord. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Mataji, you want to add anything? Sarita Kapoor Mataji and Sri Haripriya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I would just like to add the one analogy which always Srila Prabhupada when in such a sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
The Srila Prabhupada adds that Archa Vigraha form of the Lord is not material, because since Lord has the energy, he is the owner of that material and the spiritual energy, he can keep transforming. We cannot, by our we humans are incapacitated in the form that we cannot understand him through our material world senses. He can keep switching. He can use spiritual energy for having material resources of the devotional service of the devotees, and he can keep switching both the energy. So it is inconceivable for we conditioned souls. And Srila Prabhupada gives a quote, an example of the post box, that you have many mail boxes, but if the one which is authorized by the post office is only the post box which will deliver your letter directly to the required address. Otherwise, if you just keep posting a letter into some imitation boxes or those which are not authorized, though your letter will not reach to the required address. So similarly, Archa Vigraha form of the Lord is the authorized form of the Lord through which he accepts the services of the devotees in this material world, because we material beings can only conceive Lord in the form of material energy, because we don't have those senses to understand spiritual form of the Lord so easily. So it's God's mercy that he gives us this material manifestation, Archa Vigraha form, so that we can relate to that particular form and offer our devotional services through which God can accept it. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Deepti Sahu Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Yes.
So Prabhuji, the first one, why Archa Vigraha is not material, and then why does Lord appear in the form of Archa Vigraha? So Prabhuji, Archa Vigraha is not material because, as Mataji also mentioned, when we do not, the Archa Vigrahas, even though they are just made up of the wood or metal, but actually the deities are installed in that form. The Lord is invoked through mantras. So it is a proper deity installation. And that is the reason why we not call them as idols. They are deities for us because pran pratishtha happens for them. And it is literally like, as the word mentions, pran pratishtha. So life is invoked. The Lord is called, and then it is requested to him that please come and stay with us. And then when he comes in that particular material, he comes in that particular form, so that the pure devotees can reciprocate their love and affection with him. So, and it is not necessary for the Lord to come, but it is only because, as we know, paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam. Dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. It is not necessary for the Lord to come and annihilate the miscreants, but he only comes just to show his mercy on the pure devotees because they want to see him in his original form. And that is the reason when he comes in his Sachidanand Vigraha, his pure transcendental form. So this is one of the reasons, because and not only that, he wants to shower his mercy on everyone because he wants everyone to come back, to return to Goloka. And so based on the degree of surrender, he reciprocates their love accordingly. And so he this is his way of showering his mercy and showing his affection, so that there are different stages and everyone can connect with him. So that is the reason why he appears in the form of the Arch Vigrahas, Prabhuji. And when he appears, he actually appears with all his paraphernalia. So there is no difference in his Kaumodaki or his Sudarshan Chakra or his Bansuri, Murli, or the peacock feathers. And that is the reason why the pure devotees, they always give the same kind of love and affection, and they respect, they offer obeisances to even to the paraphernalias of the Lord. And this is only realized by the sincere devotees, Prabhuji, not by the atheists. So this is what we have understood from this, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sarita Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yeah. So how the Archavigraha form of the Lord is not material. So basically, because it's not material, because Krishna is personally present, as Mataji, like many of them explained, like because the Prana Pratishtha is made up for the deity and proper installation is done, and Pancharatra and all the procedures are followed as per the Narada Pancharatra. And we see in the temple that how early morning, like deity is made to get up, like the Krishna is made to get up, and the Rabdi is given, like he's personally treated. And we do the puja, aarti, and then we offer the bhog to the Lord. And the Lord is also, in the evening we do the aarti, and then Lord is made to sleep. So it shows that, Krishna is personally present. So Prabhupada also says, like, are the acharyas are fools that they are worshipping this vigrahas in the temple if there is no God? So obviously the Lord is there because he has been proper. It has been, even the deities are carved as per the Shilpa Shastra, and it has been the Ashtavigraha has been made. So the Lord is there, and also because it is, we are not capable enough now. We don't have the eyes to see the Lord. Like Prabhupada says, it is possible when we, like even we saw a sloka like Pantastu, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadaiva Rudeshu Vilokayanti. So the people who have the heart to see the Lord, so they are always seeing the Lord, even in the deities, they are able to see Lord. But we are not purified. So Krishna, out of mercy, he takes that form of the deity form. And we have many examples where the deities have reciprocated. In Chaitanya Charitamrita also we see like Shirachora Gopinath, and how the deity took the sweet rice, he kept it for Madhavendra Puri. And then in the Sakshi Gopal, where the deity walked. So this is like this is the same shloka which we see that he walks and he don't walk. So deity has literally walked, and he came for rescue of his devotee. So yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Rakshita Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I think almost all the points are covered. So, I just wanted to give a quote one of the examples. Again, it's from Chaitanya Charitamrita, where I don't know the details, but one devotee wanted to give Krishna no spin. And then she went and saw, Krishna, but then there was no, there was no, a proper way for her to, give the ornament to Krishna. Then she came back. She was crying and she came back. And then in the dream, the same deity came, Krishna came and told, you can come, you can, ornament me, not an issue. And then next day when she went, she actually could, fit the nose pin into the nose of the deity. So these are the things. And one more incident, I heard this from one of the senior Vaishnavas. I think it happened in Gujarat, where
there was in Gujarat there is this ritual where when anybody gets married, they are given laddu gopals. So when the daughter-in-law comes with laddu gopal, she is made to worship the laddu gopal. And one woman got attached to laddu gopal so much, she used to treat him as her own son, feeding him every day and nurturing him. And once what happened, she went and touched the deity, and he was feeling, I mean, he was hot basically. So his temperature had increased, and then she told everybody that my laddu gopal has got fever. And she, because of that, she was so worried. She did not eat, she did not do anything. I mean, she did not eat properly for days. She stopped eating because she was like, my son has got fever. And then at her house, everybody came and saw her, and then they were trying to convince her, nothing happened, he's God and all. She's not getting convinced. And then her daughter-in-law called a doctor. So doctor came, and the doctor was like, the daughter-in-law had told the doctor, you simply go to the altar and pretend as if you're testing Laddu Gopal so that she will get convinced. And the doctor went, and with the stethoscope, he actually tested deity, and then he was stunned for a moment. He heard the heartbeat from Laddu Gopal, and he was stunned, and he didn't know what to do. He came back, he just walked out of the house. And then the daughter-in-law ran behind the doctor and asked what happened. Then he said, no, actually I could hear the heartbeat from Laddu Gopal. So, and then he came back and said that old lady, nothing has happened, he will be all right. I've given him medicines, he'll be all right. And then she started eating, drinking, all that, because she knows now doctor has cured and my son will be okay. So it's about reciprocation, even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, right, how you go to him, how you approach him, Krishna also reciprocates in the same way. So if we consider him to be living as a part of our family, and if we develop a relationship with the deity, not just looking at him as an idol, Krishna also reciprocates in the same way. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Sureshwar Priya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, just to substantiate with whatever all other people said, I'm just remembering certain points, like we all are trying to be the devotees of Lord, and we want to see Lord Krishna. Of late, we all started loving him. So he is understanding our mental condition. We can't have food without feeding him. This is our status. So under such condition, Lord is allowing us to worship him with our material senses, because our senses are imperfect. So with this imperfect vision, we will be able to see him. That is one thing why Archa Vigraha is given the status of Lord Krishna from Vrindavana or Goloka Vrindavana. Okay, so that is one thing I want to say. And coming to the examples given here, even Udupi Krishna, he is just facing the backside of the shrine. Through those windows, nine cavities are there. Through that only we can see him. So there also he just turned towards his devotee Kanakadas. So here we are seeing that we have to go towards Lord Krishna. He is always there to help us. In our normal sense, we will not be able to see him because we are in the material world. But he is coming to our material world because it is created by him. And as we study in physics, we know that energy is neither created nor destroyed. It can be transformed from one form to another form. This we teach our children. But at the same time, we don't know what is the real energy. And he is the source of energy, energetic. So for him, transforming from material energy to spiritual energy and vice versa is not a big thing, because he is energetic and he can do it. So when he is coming to the material energy form, we can visualize him in the deities. We don't call, as Deepti Mataji said, as idol. Idol can be any toy. So we will not call it as idol worship. We are not atheists. We are calling it as deity worship because the prana is already established. Hare Krishna, these are certain points I remembered. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Radhavallavi Mataji.
I just wanted to add 2 points. When we talk about this prana pratishtha, we have a particular process. We call it as a netra unmilnan. You put the pratishtha, pran pratishtha, and it is not being done by everyone, especially in the temples. It is only the people who have undergone that process, the exalted, sannyasis or senior leaders only do that. That is one part. And because they have the capability to invoke that convert that energy and bring that Lord with their worship. And I wanted to, okay, we have been talking about reciprocation. I remember two examples right now. We have a live example we had recently on Narsimha Chaturthi, or the next day, the birthday of Radha Raman Lal. And we know that deity has been invoked by Gopal Goswami. And these were the Saligram Shilas, and how Saligram Shilas, because he had this desire to put beautiful clothes, like other sannyasis, how they are, worshipping the Lord. So he got converted into today's Radha Raman Lal. And similarly, we have seen Gadadhar Pandit in Tota Gopinath. When he became old, he could not serve the Vigraha of the Lord. So in order to reciprocate, when he said he will not, he asked his son to do the worship. Then the Lord came into his dream, and next day when he went, he saw, Lord Krishna was sitting so that he could, perform the puja. Hare Krishna, Prabhupada.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Sarita Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, I just remembered, like after Krishna shows the universal form in the chapter 11, and that was the question of Arjuna also, like which form of worship is better? Is it the impersonal or is the personal? And then Krishna says that worshipping of impersonal is very like Kleshodikadharastesham. He says it's very difficult to worship the impersonal because we are embodied, and for many lives we have been conditioned, like we have this body, so we cannot worship the impersonal. So Krishna also suggests that worshipping my personal form is considered to be the highest. So even the Lord has approved the worship of the personal form, and even Arjuna there also, he confirmed, he had a personal, he was attached to personal forms, and the same thing was confirmed by the Lord there. So I just remember. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Deepti Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, since so many examples, such beautiful examples are being quoted, Prabhuji, there is, it appears in Chaitanya Charitamrita, no, when Lord Chaitanya had to appear, so it was requested. Since there is one point that has been mentioned, at the request of great devotees. So, Prabhuji, it was requested by Advaita Acharya, isn't it? Yeah. So when he had requested the Lord, he had offered him prayers to appear, and then that is how we know that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had appeared in this material world to perform his Leela pastimes. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, can you highlight about Navakalevara at this one, Puri Jagannath temple? Because every 12 years, now this is related to Prana Pradishta, isn't it?
Yeah, this is some little different, means special, only happens in Puri. Every time they have that new Kalebara. Kalebara means the body for the Lord, and they transfer that substance from the old Kalebara to the Nava Kalebara of the Lord. It happened in 2015, I think, recently. Once in 12 years, they do that. It's a part of deity worship. In many temples, they have this kind of, when they have the deity made of mud or made of medicines, like that, different material things they use for having these deities. So depending on the material, they have different processes. If the deity is made of mud, then they don't have the abhisheka, the water abhisheka will not be done for the Lord. Like that, different way of worship are there. So in Jagannath Puri, this is the process how they perform the Navakalebara. So they choose a particular tree based on different parameters, and by taking that tree only, and the person also is very specific about who is going to take that tree, and by taking that tree they carve the new deity, and then they will do the prana pratishtha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Okay, who is doing kirtan now?
Deepti Mataji.
Okay, yeah. Is it a surprise?
Yes.
No, I think it is Deepa Rani Mataji, no? Deepa Rani, I
Sorry,
saw.
Prabhuji. Deepa Rani Mataji. I always get confused.
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. I'll make you host.
I'll share the screen for her, Prabhuji.
Okay, then.
नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि श्री गौरभक्त वृंद। श्री चौरस्तकम। ब्रजे प्रसीदं नवनीतचौरं गोपाङ्गनानां च गोकुलचौरम् अनेकजन्मार्जितपापचौरं चौराग्रगण्यं पुरुषं नमामि। श्रीराधिकायास्य चौरं नवमोदाश्यामलाकान्तिचौरं पदाश्रितानां च समस्तचौरं चौरगगनं पुरुषं नमामि। आकिञ्चनीकृत्य पदाश्रितं या करोति वीक्षुं पतिविहरीनं केनाप्यहो विसनाचौरैर्द्र दृष्टा श्रुतो बाणजगत्त्रयेऽपि यदि अनामापि हारात्यशेषं गिरिप्रसारानपि पापराशीन् आश्चर्यरूपो ननु चौरैर्द्र दृष्टा श्रुतो वा न मया कदापि धनं च मानं च ततेन्द्रियाणि प्राणश्चरेत्वा मम सर्वमेव पालायसे पुत्र धृतोऽद्यचौर त्वं भक्तिदाम्नासि माया निरुद्धा छिन्नसि घोरं यमापाशबन्धं विनत्सि भीमं भवपाशबन्धं छिन्नसि सर्वस्य समस्तबन्धं नैवात्मनो भक्तकृतं तु बन्धम् मन्मनसि तमसारसि घोरे कारागृहे दुःखमये निबद्धा लभस्व हे चोर हरे चिराय स्वचौर्यदोषचितमेव दण्डम् ब्रजे प्रसीदं नवनीतचौरम् गोपाङ्गनानां च गोकुलचौरम् अनेकजन्मार्जितपापचौरं चौराग्रगण्यं पुरुषं नमामि। कराग्रहे वस सदा हृदये मदीये मद्भक्तिपास दृढबन्धन निश्चला सतान्तरेऽपि सर्वस्वचोरा हृदयन्नाहि मोचयामि। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्ण। Translation. I offer my respectful obeisances to that foremost of thieves, who is famous in Braja as the butter thief, and he who steals the gopis' clothes, and who, for those who take shelter of him, steals the sins which have accrued over many lifetimes. I offer my respectful obeisances to the foremost of thieves, who steals Srimati Radhika's heart, who steals the dark luster of a fresh rain cloud, and who steals all the sins and sufferings of those who take shelter of his feet. He turns his surrendered devotees into paupers and wandering, homeless beggar. Alas, such a fearsome thief has never been seen or heard of in all the three worlds. Mere utterance of his name purges one of a mountain of sins. Such an astonishingly wonderful thief I have never seen or heard of anywhere. O thief, having stolen my wealth, my honor, my senses, my life, and my everything, where can you run to? I have caught you with the rope of my devotion. You cut the terrible noose of Yamraj. You sever the dreadful noose of material existence, and you slash everyone's
Hare Krishna. I think
the
there is
terrible darkness of my ignorance, and therefore a very long time you will remain receiving appropriate punishment for your crimes of thievery. O Krishna, thief of my everything, the noose of my devotion remaining forever tight. You will continue to reside in the prison house of my heart, because I will not release you for millions of aeons. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So regarding the deity worship, there is a shloka in Shweta Ashvatara Upanishad, which says that na tat pratima asti. So this is very lot of people discuss about this. Why this is told in Upanishad? Na tat pratima asti means what? It says that the Lord has no pratima or the vigraha. Here, the word pratima means what? If you say prati means exact copy. Or you say Xerox, if you say, get one more prati of this, that is exact copy of that. It is not possible to have the exact copy of the Lord. Na tat pratima asti means we cannot compare anything in this material world to the form of the Lord. The form of the Lord is so beautiful, so magnanimous. We can only compare it to the maximum extent, whatever possible within our understanding. We can compare it to it, but it is also incomplete. Just like when we say the Lord's eyes are like the lotus and Lord's feet is like lotus, because the lotus is the one which is very soft and very fragrant, that is visible in this material world. That's why we say lotus face, lotus feet, lotus eyes, like that. But it is like telling he's a very big king of a nation, and we are just telling him as he's as great as the landlord. But that is even far more than that. but our understanding is very little. So that's why it is told Natat Pratima Asti. That means you cannot have a comparison for the Lord. He is unlimited. But within our capacity, whatever understanding we can have, within that only we have to understand the inconceivable potency of the Lord. First of all, you should understand that the Lord is inconceivable. Then within the capacity or whatever way we can understand the Lord, within that we can try within this material world, whatever things are there. And in the same Shweta Ashwatara Upanishad, it is told, Apani Pado Javano Grahita Pashyati Achakshu Sa Shrunoti Akarnaha. That means the person, the Lord doesn't have the feet, but he will walk everywhere, or he can go in everywhere. And he Pashyati Achakshu, he can see, but he doesn't have the eyes. And Shrunoti Akarnaha, he can hear, but he doesn't have ears. What does it mean? It is just nullifying our understanding. Just like when we say the Lord is having a form, we think that his form is also like us only, because our form is temporary. We were having certain kind of form in our childhood, and in youth we have a different form, and in our old age we have another kind of form. But for the Lord, it is not so. The Lord has eternal form. And our body and soul are not the same. Our body is different from our soul. But for the Lord, there is no difference between body and the soul. There is nothing like another soul within the Lord. The Lord himself is the spiritual body. He himself, there is no inside and outside. So in our case, whatever we say that the eyes, nose, or ear, leg, hands, these things are not there in him. That is the meaning that the Lord has no legs, no hands, or apani pado javiyo, all these things. Akarnaha, he doesn't have ear. He doesn't have ear means he doesn't have the ear like us. But what kind of ear he has? What is the evidence that he has the ear? It says that Shrunoti, he can hear, but not with a ear of our kind. It is a different kind of ear. Angani yasya sakalendriya vrittimanti pashyanti panti kalayanti chiram jaganti ananda chinmaya sadujjvala vigrahasya govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami. So our senses are limited. We can perform one activity with one sense. But for the Lord, he can perform any activity with any senses. Just by glancing over the material energy, he can impregnate all the jivas within that. That is the capacity of his vision. But if we see, nothing will happen. The Lord can accept the prasadam just by glancing over it. But if we have to accept it, we have to put it in our tongue only. Just like every day we taste the food in the tongue. Okay, today you can test the sambar through your eyes. Just put a drop of sambar in your eyes. You can see whether the salt is right or not. That is not possible for us. Only Lord can do it. So just to distinguish between this, just to understand, don't think that your senses and Lord's senses are same. So to getting that understanding, it is told that the Lord has no eyes, he has no ears, he has no legs. But he has all the senses, which is beyond our capacity, beyond the capacity of our understanding. Okay, let us continue further. Those who would like to read can raise their hand. Shri Haripriya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Tad dure tadvantike, he is far away, but he is very near as well. And at the same time, and like very near, just like Krishna is standing here, one has to understand very near. He has kindly come to you near, so near that you can touch his lotus feet. You can offer him some foodstuffs. You can decorate him. He is agreeing. Yes, I will accept. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So this is possible only if we have the Archa Vigraha. Otherwise, it is not possible. You can touch the deity, you can take the darshan of the deity. It is possible through the Archa Vigraha. And this form is not a whimsical form. This is the form explained by the people who have seen him. When the great devotees of the Lord, just like Narad Muni, they have the capacity to go to Vaikuntha, he can go to Bhuloka, and also he can go to Patala also. And he can even go to hell for delivering them. So when the great devotees, those who had the vision of the Lord, dhyana avastita tadgatena manasa pashyanti yam yogino. By seeing the form of the Lord, the great devotees, they have understood what is the form. And that form will be manifested in the form of a deity at the request of those great devotees. And through them, we are also able to see the Lord. And only those who are fortunate will be able to take the advantage. For the faithless person, the deity will be acting like a stone only. He will be, if we think that he is a stone or he is a wood, then he will be like stone and wood only. And Archa Vigraha, it will manifest certain energy only. It is like, we cannot expect the Archa Vigraha to perform all the activities, all the pastimes to everyone. First of all, we are not qualified to see all those pastimes of the Lord. And the Lord will be limiting himself to certain features within that Archa Vigraha. Just like for the Archa Vigraha, you have to cook and you have to offer the bhoga. Otherwise, if Krishna in Vrindavan, if Krishna is hungry, he will come and ask Yashoda Mata, I am hungry, feed me. If Yashoda doesn't feed, he will get angry at her. So such kind of features, the Archa Vigraha will not show to us. Because he is limiting himself to that service which is given in the Archa Vigraha. How does he accept? Okay. Radha Vallabhi Mataji.
Tad dure, Hare Krishna, tad dure tad ev antike. How does he accept? That is called Durastham, very, very far, far away. At the same time, Antike, immediately. Provided you know the means. If you know, then you can see. That is God's power. He can remain far, far away, but he can immediately be approachable by the devotees. Bhagavad Gita lecture 13.16, Bombay, October 10, 1973. Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So Krishna, if we know him, he is very, very near to us. But if we are trying to avoid him, Krishna also give all the opportunity to forget him. To forget Krishna also, we need the blessings of Krishna. Otherwise, we cannot forget him also. So those who like to forget Krishna, Krishna will give them enough faith to think that the Lord doesn't exist. Because atheism is also a faith, to believe that there is no God. Because they cannot prove non-existence of the Lord also. Just like a devotee, he may not be able to prove the existence of the Lord for an atheist. Similarly, an atheist also cannot prove the non-existence of the Lord. So the atheism also remains as a faith. Deepti Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Tad dure tadvi antike. The arch vigraha of the Lord descends at the request of the acharyas, the holy teachers, and works exactly in the original way of the Lord by virtue of the Lord's omnipotence. Mantra 8 purport. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Madhu. So I think it's already 12:45. The next portion we'll do in the next session. Otherwise, it will be too much to rush. 6 to 7. 6, 7, 8 we'll do in the next session. So we'll stop for today. Anybody has any questions in today's session, they can raise their hand. Okay, no questions.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for today's lecture.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
I have no question.
Yeah.
There is an announcement.